21. All righty. Angry Bears fan episode 21. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'm Sean. This is Tom. Like, follow, subscribe, all that good jazz. And again, thank you, everybody who's continuously tuning in. Like I was just telling Tom before we started, getting pretty consistent viewers. Adam was supposed to be joining us, but he's not here. So we'll get into what's been going on with the Bears lately. The Ed Oliver talk. Jonah Hill's on the block. Maybe that'd be somebody we can look into. I don't know how much. I'm really interested in looking into anything that stops us from drafting tackle in the top 15 picks.
Jonah Williams, you mean?
What I say, Hill?
Yeah,
he could play him too. He fluctuates his weight as needed. Maybe he can get up to left tackle size. But the Ed Oliver stuff was weird. I caught the tail end of it, but he posted him sacking every quarterback in the NFC North, and then got everybody riled up. And then, like an hour or two later, he then eventually posted a picture of himself sacking Justin Fields.
Which is weird, because why would you do that?
It's very weird. I think Poles is behind the scenes trying to make a trade just because he didn't get any of these big name guys in free agency. So I think he is behind the scenes trying to work something. I think Ed Oliver is a perfect fit for what we've got, what we want to try and do. If they don't, I don't think they're going to re-sign him to anything big just because they got Josh Allen.
Well, he's due $10.5 million this upcoming year.
But his contract is, or he's gonna, what is it, 5-year option?
Yeah, but it's not. He hasn't really had $10.5 million worth of production yet.
No.
It's kind of a scheme fit, yeah. I would be excited for it only because what's his price going to be? I want to know what his price is going to be for that extension. That's what I'm really looking forward to, is to see what that would cost if Ryan Poles was to pull the trigger.
And we'd be in control of him. We'd be in control of him for 2 years anyway. So
what would it cost to give up?
What did Payne get? 22.
Something like that, 22.5, 23. But I'm talking about like draft pick compensation.
Oh, I would guess no more than a third. I mean, Jalen Ramsey went for a third. Gilmore went for a fifth. Cooks went for a fifth and sixth. I mean, I know he's youngish, but he's also a DT. That's not a value position.
Well, yeah, it is. It's a high value position.
I mean, if he's a pass rusher, but you said he's had no production, so
yeah, he hasn't really had any production.
If he was getting sacks, then yeah, I agree. But I would say I would say a third is what he'd probably go for. I know I've been harping on this. If we're going for guys I don't think people are going to sign, as much as I hate Ohio State, I've been harping. I think we should make a call, kick the tires on Chase Young. What could they possibly want for him? Like, have to be a second. Like, in my head, like, it can't be a first. He as well hasn't had the production.
Pretty soon we're going to become the Ohio State Bears.
Yes. Yeah, we were out heavy at the Ohio State Pro Day. Eberflus was locked in, they said, on was it Paris Johnson Jr.? I always keep saying Campbell, but it's Paris Johnson Jr., I believe. They had another tackle too. I think it's Dwayne something.
DeJuan Jones.
DeJuan Jones, yeah. So, and then they also got a center too, Whitebeer. So all the mocks are saying we're taking an O-lineman, so they probably had, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be shocked if we didn't get one of those guys. I don't know which one of them, but my best guess is one of those guys will be on our team. Like I said, I really don't want Paris Johnson Jr. at 9. I don't want to say whatever.
I find it interesting because now that you're talking about it too, another person that was there for the Ohio State Pro Day was JSN, and he ran pretty well. I mean, it was like a official 4.55 or something like that. So not a blazer, but you don't need to be. He's got very short yardage quickness, and he gets separation. Yeah, so he's a very precise route runner. So I was looking into this a little bit, and I kind of have a little bit of notes. It would be interesting if he's there at 9, because I want Ryan Poles to take the best player he has on his board, not necessarily for needs. Yeah, we still need a tackle, but we can always find one. He found Braxton Jones in the 5th round. Might be able to find somebody in the later rounds as well. So it'd be interesting because I think if JSN is there at 9, they might trade back a little bit and still pick him.
Yeah.
But if they do, that's going to say a couple things. One, Darnell Mooney probably isn't extended because they're the same player.
Yeah,
and,
I don't. He would have the year to. He would have to have a big year to get extended.
Yeah, but I just don't see it. Would you have Darnell Mooney for 11.5 to 13 million that he's going to cost for an extension, or would you rather have a little bit better Darnell Mooney for rookie contract control?
Well, yeah, again, it'll be a good position to be in. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, Mooney would have to have just like a really good year, and that's what you do. You build a great roster and you light a fire under some of these guys. They know, like, you got to ball out if you want to stay on this fucking team because we got guys to replace you.
They might be concerned about how he comes back from his injury too.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't look the same. I don't know. Like, they just weren't throwing it as much. I don't know. It was a weird thing. So I've been saying I'm team JSN just because I think that's like a Justin Fields pick. You did that for him. It can't hurt. This is offensive league. You know what I mean? Let's get as many studs out there as we can and then light it up. Like I said, we had a pretty electric offense with no wide receivers. So, I mean, if we get, you know what I mean? Now we got DJ Moore, we got JSN, healthy Darnell Mooney, Claypool. There's a lot of mismatches. Komet. So, like I said, I'm really intrigued in the JSN pick. I personally think they're not going to pick him, though. I think if Jalen Carter or the DN from Texas Tech doesn't fall to like 9, I think we're going to fall back, and he's going to pick who, like you said, best available, whoever falls to us to wherever we're at. And I agree with you. I think he's comfortable waiting till the 3rd round or 4th round to pick a tackle, one that falls. I'm sure he's got 5 or 6 guys. Braxton Jones could have been a fluke, but he is an ex-offensive lineman. I'm assuming that's where he feels like, you know what I mean, who he can read the best. So he'll probably take another swing and just, like I said, the lineman I think is really scheme. I mean, some of the left tackles, yeah, if you're a freak and you're 6'7", 350 pounds, and you got ballerina feet, then yeah, sure.
Well, there's always a possibility too. Say they trade back even to like 13 or 14, whatever, and they take JSN.
Yeah.
If there's a tackle that they really like Broderick Jones from Georgia, if he's there at like 24, 25, it's not to say Ryan Poles doesn't package up a couple of those 2nd round picks and trades up and grabs them. Yeah,
or we got next year's picks, all type of stuff. We're in a position, yeah, like you said, he put us in a good position where we can do what we want. I agree with you. I want him to take best available. I want to stack this team with talent, and then if it doesn't work out this year, then you start filling holes and being more specific. But we just have a talentless roster. As much as I want to compete, can't compete with this many holes. It's really probably not going to fill them all this offseason. He's doing a good job so far. If multiple guys take the next step, then maybe we'll be, like I said, if Kyle Gordon takes another step, Brisker, you know what I mean, Justin Fields, then, hey, you know what I mean, some of those holes might, you know what I mean, won't be so glaring. If Justin Fields is a top 10 quarterback, you know what I mean, the offensive line woes won't be so bad. Running a running back by committee won't be so bad. Speaking of running backs by committee, I just seen a lot of everybody, the Bears fandom wants them to take Bijan Robinson.
No, Deontay Foreman, and I have this in my notes here, right? So we have Khalil Herbert and I almost said Bijan Robinson and Deontay Foreman. Now, what people forget is that through week 6 of last year, Deontay Foreman had 14 total carries through 6 weeks. He had 14 total carries through 6 weeks. He finished the season with 941 rushing yards. Do the math on that at 4.5 a clip. He had 12 carries through week 6, which means week 7 through 18, he ran for like 900 yards. That's ridiculous. I mean, I
think I don't want Bijan Robinson. I think I've just been seeing it a lot. I really hope. I don't see Polt after all the good moves he's made, very logical, smart moves, for him to pick a running back in the first round at all in this point of our process. would be just crazy.
It'd
Like
be the
if you
wrong
really were sitting there and running backs the what you want to pick, trade back and trade back again if the running back's the only player you want to take when it's your turn.
I mean, I doubt it. Like I said, this draft is very top heavy. So the top tier talent, obviously, and that's like that in a lot of drafts. But you can see where the fall off is in this year's draft in terms of the top 10 picks as opposed to the rest
Offense
of.
for sure. Offense is not many guys. Like after the first round, it's gonna be nobody. Like
Well, this was what my thing was. This is like my kind of idea, because I didn't do a physical mock draft this week, but my perfect scenario would be trading back to 13 or 14 or whatever the case may be, taking JSN. Let's just stack that wide receiver, that wide receiver room. Let's just stack it. Fuck it, right?
yeah,
So taking JSN, and then I'm going to take the second round pick that I got from trading up or from trading back, and another second round pick, probably my later one, and I'm going to package that up. I'm going to trade back into the first round, and I'm going to take Broderick Jones, tackle out of Georgia, and then with that second round pick that I have in that first second round pick, I'm taking a look at a guy like AA from Northwestern, or the kid out of Kansas State. If those edge rushers aren't available, then I'm taking a look at Kylie Ringo, corner, because he's been extremely impressive in his offseason stuff, and he seems like he's going to be good, but he might be available round 3. So I'm hoping it kind of, like I was saying, I want Ryan Poles the first 2 or 3 rounds with those picks that he's got, the top, four picks in the top 65. If he trades back, he'll probably get another one. Take the 4 or 5 best players on your board, because we have, like you were saying, we have holes upon holes upon holes on this roster. It's talentless. There's no depth. So just start collecting talent. Yeah, you want scheme fit guys, but say you're taking a look at a couple of guys on your board, and one's a scheme fit, and he's 1B, but 1A is just a physical freak. Do what you think's best. Take 1B if he's a scheme fit, because he's kind of like right, neck. Maybe the points, the values, the valuations that Ryan Poles talks about him having, maybe they're not that far apart. So, I mean, he kind of gave us a little bit of an insight to his draft process when he talked about his valuations. He's got the Chicago Bears have one of the biggest analytical
yeah. I
teams.
was reading that. Yeah, they have. I think they have the biggest one right now, or something like that.
That's pretty impressive, because we're so used to the old school way of
Yes.
football and old school Bear stuff, and now he's kind of going into the new age. Hey, pause this real quick. I'll be right back.
Like you were saying, yeah, it's refreshing to have a real GM, like you said, using analytics and all types of stuff.
Just that new age, the new
Yes,
wave.
we have to get with it. Like I said, a build a bomb, kind of like you said. You're right. I just want talent. I think JSN would be, like I said, for Justin Fields. I'm trying to do stuff for him to get his head right, and I think getting some players that played on his old team who he's familiar with. It really shows like a vote of confidence in him. There was a lot of swirling around about switching over to a different quarterback, the pros and cons of that, and I think getting some of these Ohio State guys and getting more wide receivers and more weapons for Justin Fields, like I said, is another step forward, telling him, like, this is your team. And you got, I mean, basically 2 years now. Like I said, unless he's dog shit and we get the number 1 pick, like we're getting like the only quarterback in that draft we would take over him would be Caleb Williams, and he would have to have been terrible. Like if Justin Fields is top 15 or better, you know what I mean? We're out. He's safe. And so I'm not really worried about that, but I like the I really like the JSN pick, and I think it kind of solves a problem we were having where we wouldn't be hamstrung, where Mooney would like have this leverage for us to re-sign him. Like if we get another wide receiver, it's like, go ahead, fine. Like we're going to let you walk, buddy. We're not going to listen to you complain all year. We'll just play the other guys. And then if you don't get your catches, nobody's going to pay you.
Well, what about this, right? So let's just say that
Claypool's a free agent as well, too, coming up, right?
So what I was going to say was, you have DJ Moore, right? And say you draft JSN. Girls. Say you draft JSN this year, and you have DJ Moore already on the roster, but you decide not to extend Mooney and Claypool, and you have a pick high enough to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. next year.
Yeah.
That would be ridiculous.
Marvin Harrison Jr. was running routes for C.J. Stroud during the pro day, so maybe they were also getting a sneak peek at him. I think he will be the second pick in the draft, maybe the third.
Quarterback next year.
I don't know. I think he's a better prospect than Drake May.
Oh, I think so too. But there's always going to be that quarterback. Normally,
I guess you're right. The team will like leapfrog just to get there. But yeah, I think that would put a lot of pressure on Mooney and Claypool to play very well. They'll have to earn all their reps. That would put some pressure on them, and I think they need that. But I like the group we kind of got right now. There's really no free agents to add. Like we were talking about earlier, Cooks went to the Cowboys. He's probably the only person I would have wanted something like that, like kind of like that. I'm more intrigued in signing some of these guys in free agency, so we're not forced to reach in the draft as well. Or just pick a nobody just to pick them. But like I said, we'll see. Speaking of free agents, there's only a few out there. I really think Yannick Ngakoue and Roquan Smith, they both got Eberflus ties. I've been looking at those are the only guys that leapt out to me that I really think they're going to end up on our team. I'm guessing Poles has already made an offer to Yannick, but he's probably just shopping. Everybody probably wants to give him a 1-year prove-it deal. That's just his journey in the process. So he's probably just fishing till the draft or after the draft in hopes. But I do think he'll end up on our team just because guys, at the end of the day, they want to get paid, but they also want to play. And he had one of his best seasons with Eberflus on his defense. So if he's got to play it on a prove-it deal, I'm assuming he's going to want to go to the Bears because he'll get a lot of time to play. We don't got anybody to put out there.
Yeah, I like that you brought up Roquan Smith because I agree too. He's pretty decent. He had a pretty good coverage grade this year, and he plays nickel slot. So I would not be disappointed with that. Like you said, it's probably at this point it seems like what the Bears are doing is just signing 1-year deals anyway. Usually at this point of free agency, it's nothing but 1-year deals, 1 or 2-year deals. So I'd be okay with Yannick on a 3-year, because we still have $40 million in cap space.
So like I said, I really think he's going to end up on our team. I'm just assuming he's holding out a little bit in hopes somebody strikes out in the draft and doesn't get a pass rusher and they're stupid and overpays. But if that doesn't work out, and like I said, Indy's not too far from Chicago. It'll be a short trip back to somewhere where he's going to get to play. But I would like to have him. I think he's a specialist. I think we add guys like that, get run stoppers where we got them. And let's see what else I got. But after, like I said, we've had some time. It's been 2 weeks now since the trade. I'm sure I'm happy with it still, but do you think was traded it too soon?
I mean, he's been very transparent. I know recently there's a lot of slack kind of because he did a interview with Peter King on Monday or something like that, where he was talking about he was in conversations with Houston for the number 2 overall pick. And, he could have went down from 1 to 2, 2 to 9. And, we could have potentially had 3 first-rounders next year, et cetera. But I don't think Carolina sweetens the pot with DJ Moore to go from 9 to 2 because they don't control the draft at that point. From what I understand, too, Ryan Poles had a list of players to get the deal done. DJ Moore was one of them. Brian Burns was another. J.C. Horn was another. And then
Derek Brown.
Oh, yeah, Derek Brown. He was the 4th name on that list to get the deal done. And Carolina felt comfortable enough to give them DJ Moore. And I made a TikTok about the whole DJ Moore thing and people, not calling him a true number 1 wide receiver, where I compared his stats to A.J. Brown before A.J. Brown went to Philadelphia. And DJ Moore has been more productive with less quarterback talent. Yes. So, A.J. Brown put up 1,400 yards this year, but he also had a much better offense in general around him total and a better quarterback throwing him the ball. So if Justin could take that step, maybe we're talking about DJ Moore being in that same conversation that people look at AJ Brown as, because I don't think anybody would realistically say AJ Brown was not a number one wide receiver in Tennessee. Like everybody's like, oh yeah, he's a true number one wide receiver. He's a true number one wide receiver. Philly got this true number one, and they're not talking about DJ Moore in the same aspect. And I find that weird. They're
Hating
the
on the
same
Bears.
size. They're the same size. AJ Brown's a little heavier, but they put up around the same production. DJ Moore was probably a little bit more productive than AJ Brown was in Tennessee, but of course Tennessee didn't really throw the football all that much. But it's just I don't know. I like the trade still. Yeah, he probably could have gotten more in draft capital had he done that, but we would not have gotten a proven commodity and knowing what we got in a guy like DJ Moore. So I'm perfectly okay with the trade. What about you?
I am okay with the trade. I mean, I like what we got. But I still do. I mean, I said this when he did it. I would have if it was me, but I mean, I don't get paid, so what the fuck? It doesn't matter what I would do. But I would have waited just because I would want one of these GMs to fall in love with one of these quarterbacks before I sweetened up. Like before we sat down and did it. I really just want that, or like somebody else to fall in love, or just drive. You only need one guy to fall in love because that drives the price up, and it's like they start telling everybody, "Well, this is what he's going to pay." Like, sorry, like, we saw that. I saw that the Raiders had offered a lot.
Well, no, it wasn't what the Raiders offered. It's what the Bears asked.
Oh, they asked the Raiders.
Yeah, they asked the Raiders for. They wanted first and second round pick this year, next year, and a first round pick, like a third first round pick. Which realistically, when you look at it, it's kind of what they got from Carolina, except it wasn't a second round pick. Next year, it was a second round pick in 2025, and we already, we got something that was worth more than a third first round pick in DJ Moore, because we have, Green Bay, who offered Carolina a first round pick at the trade deadline, and Carolina said no. So he's worth more than a first, I would assume.
Say like a first. I don't know. That's what AJ. You said. I mean, you get a great comp. AJ Brown. That's what he went for, mid to late first, right? What was it, like the 17th pick or something?
Yeah.
So that's probably what he's worth. Just what the market dictates, at least.
I think they traded 2 firsts for AJ Brown.
No, it was just one. It was their first round pick in that draft. I think it was their first one. They had 2, but I think it was 17 or something like that. Whenever they picked Treylon Burks, that's who they picked with the pick, which made no sense to me. It's like,
yeah.
You just keep AJ Brown then. I don't care if you want to leave, playing on my team. And it's like you really can't complain if you're a wide receiver because you got to go out there and get your yards, or you're not going to get paid. So,
well, one thing I found particularly interesting that I have here in my notes, since we're on the topic of the Panthers, is that apparently Panthers brass, ownership and leadership, is intrigued and infatuated with Anthony Richardson. So my question to you is that the best case scenario for the Bears if Anthony Richardson goes number 1, for a couple of reasons? One, Anthony Richardson obviously isn't going to play right away. It's going to be Andy Dalton. And I feel like if CJ Stroud or Bryce Young were to start in Carolina right off the bat, they probably have more wins than just with Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket.
I'll have to stop you. I don't think that's true.
I don't know, because they're loading up, and they're in discussions to get DeAndre Hopkins.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. I think Andy Dalton, his year 1, would do better than Bryce Young or CJ Stroud.
Okay, so hold on. Does Carolina have a better roster right now? Does Carolina have a better roster than the Saints did last year?
To win, no. But like young talent, yes.
Future-wise, probably, right?
Yeah, they got J.C. Horn, Derek Brown, Brian Burns. On the defense, they're stacked.
The Andy Dalton and the Saints had 6 wins last year.
Well, Andy Dalton didn't play all those games though, and he was getting taken out and put back in.
Well, he played majority of the games.
No, I
You
do.
know what I
I
mean?
agree. I'm not saying he was amazing. I'm just saying that. Um,
I think CJ Stroud, if they pick CJ Stroud number 1 and CJ Stroud starts from week 1 to week 18, they win more games
no,
than with Andy Dalton.
I don't think they would win more games. I think he would get more yards.
I think they win more games.
I don't know. Andy Dalton's I don't like him. I just think it's hard. When does a rookie quarterback ever win? It's very rare. But I know I interrupt you, but to that point, I think that would be the one thing that would hurt us if they drafted. Like I want Anthony Richardson to start, because he definitely gonna lose all those games. Andy Dalton is a game manager. Like if their defense takes another step, Andy Dalton can win you a decent amount of games. I mean, Thielen's decent. I mean, their run game was really good last year. I mean, it wasn't just Foreman. Chuba Hubbard was doing pretty good too. So it was probably the blocking.
Well, that and they got Miles Sanders now too.
Oh yeah, and Sanders, Thielen. I wrote that down. Yeah, Thielen said that he thinks they're going to be contenders. I don't know about that, but their division is weak too. They're going to get to play Tampa twice, the Saints twice, and yeah, so that too. That's those 6 games right there. They're going to win like 3 of them at least.
This was my second scenario. So Anthony Richardson goes 1 or whoever. Let's just say we'll just say CJ Stroud goes number 1 because I really think CJ Stroud's the pick. Houston goes Bryce Young number 2. I really think if Arizona's smart and the GM seems like he's a little bit more of a competent GM than the previous one, they're trading out of 3. So somebody's going to leapfrog to number 3. They're going to take another quarterback. So let's just say 4 quarterbacks go in the first 4 picks. At 5 at Seattle, Will Anderson. If he's still on the board, they're taking him.
Yes.
There's a lot of talk right now about Detroit at 6 taking
Jalen
Carter or a corner. At 7, which I think is where Arizona trades back to, they need corner help and stuff like that. So let's say
they're going to take Tyree Smith, I think.
So now you have at 9, your pieces are kind of falling into place to where now you kind of have, for the Bears, you have your choice of a couple of top defenders. You have all the offensive tackles on the board, and you still have all your wide receivers like, JSN, Quentin Johnston, if you want to go the Quentin Johnston route. So if that were to fall that way, to me, that's best case scenario because then Ryan Poles has his pick of the litter of the people he wanted anyway.
Holy shit, Luka's got 20 or 17 assists. Sorry. Wow, was it? Bulls are getting their fucking shit pushed in. They won 1 game against Philly, and everybody's like, "Don't nobody want to see the Bulls in the playoffs?" Like, fucking suck. Get out of here. But yeah, any way it goes, I think 4 quarterbacks are getting taken before 9. Any way it swings, it doesn't matter who goes 1. I don't think I've seen some Anthony Richardson stuff. I've seen a lot of Stroud stuff. I think Stroud's going to be 1, Bryce Young at 2. That'll be interesting. Bryce Young and the Texans with the new coach.
DeMeco Ryans is putting together a little squad over there in Houston.
I don't know if anybody trades up for Richardson or Will Levis. If Bryce Young or CJ Stroud falls, yes, somebody's going to come up to 3. But if I think it's Richardson or Levis, I think they'll roll the dice and wait 1 more pick. I think Arizona's not going to have a dance partner. It won't be worth it. They're just going to take Will Anderson. And I think Tyree Smith will get picked. I really hope Jalen Carter falls to us.
I don't want them taking Jalen, but I know what you're talking about for somebody to trade up for him.
Yeah, that too. That would be my best case scenario. Somebody like that falls, and then that puts us in a position. Yeah, what I do think, and I've been saying this, I think Poles is going to fall back to like farther than I would like him to. I think it's going to be like after 15. I think it's going to be like the Redskins, the Washington Commanders or the Steelers or so. I think it's going to be like 16, 17, 18, one of those picks. And we're going to pick whatever tackle he likes there. And maybe.
Well, you got to be careful because after pick 11, I really think you're going to start seeing a a sleuth of tackles being picked because Pittsburgh needs one.
Yeah. That's why I
New
think they'll
England,
trade
New
up.
England needs one.
New England doesn't usually pick offensive linemen early in the draft, though.
I know, but maybe they're trying something different because whatever they've done the last couple of years has not worked.
I don't know. It's the thing they're doing is not having the best quarterback ever on their team. That's what's not working. Like,
I mean, now there's talks about them possibly pursuing Lamar Jackson. Same thing with Indy. Indy was talking. Jay
Zappy,
Irsay.
I heard that the team was torn on Zappy and Mac Jones. I was too. Shit, I thought Zappy was a little better.
And Irsay pretty much already flat out said that they're not ruling out a Lamar Jackson, possible signing or signing him to an offer sheet and then possibly doing a deal with Baltimore.
Yeah, didn't he just get in trouble because he had like a non-NFLPA approved rep contact people?
That was Laramie Tunstall because it was that. It was the guy that the NFL and the NFLPA had sent out a memo warning teams about, and Laramie Tunstall is supposed to be representing himself, but it was the same guy that went out and got some information for Roquan Smith to be traded. I forget what the guy's name is. It's something fucking weird, but he was an agent at one point, and then he got booted and removed because of his ethics and other shit. And yeah, but it's that guy. It's that same guy.
Speaking of Roquan, looking back at that deal, was that a win? That's a win for Poles, right? Everyone was kind of hesitant, but we got a second round pick and like 2 linebackers for like cheaper than fucking what Roquan went for. So and at the end, it looked like a genius move. I was in and out every week. I was kind of feeling some type of way about it. I can admit that. It's hard. Like you're very rarely gonna get another Roquan. I still think he's better than both of those guys, and it sucks to lose him. But I think we did a good job replacing him. And I think
Roquan's an all-pro. It's hard to replace an all-pro.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Where it's like I didn't want to pay a middle linebacker that. But I think our linebacker core, Tremaine Edmonds, Sanborn, and TJ Edwards is going to be one of the best in the league, though. So I'm very hyped for that. And like I said, and we got a second round pick. If we wouldn't have fucking traded for Claypool, we've been in fucking locked this draft down. We'd get whoever the fuck we wanted.
Yeah, because we'd have the number one. Well, technically, we'd have the 32nd pick in the first round since Miami forfeits theirs, and we'd have the number 9 pick plus Carolina's. You know what I'm saying? So we would be in great shape if that were the case, which is kind of fucked because now that you look at it, right, Chase Claypool, and I'm sure it had something to do with his age, but with the Brandon Cooks trade, where him going for a 5th and a 6th rounder, in retrospect now, hindsight's always 20/20, but looking back, if this deal would have been done in the offseason, like now, Claypool doesn't go for a 2. Claypool goes for like a 3, maybe a 4. It doesn't get done for a 2.
We just have to hope that getting him made us worse. So that's why we were so bad. We wouldn't have been so bad without him. That would have been real nice to have that pick right around now. And now that we have DJ Moore, like banking on Claypool's upside isn't as needed. Now he's more like a cherry on top.
It makes everybody fall into place.
Yeah. That helps. Yeah, it definitely helps. And like I said, we're not so focused on being like he has to take a step or we're fucked.
Yes.
And now we're out of that position because I think Mooney at his worst is a great number 3. I think he'd be a great number 3 at his worst. And DJ Moore, like you said, is a bona fide 1. And you can always go out and find a 2. There's always one in the draft. There's always one in free agency. Always one you can trade for. So I think, like you said, that put us in place. And yeah, I'm interested to see what the next move is. I saw that DJ Chark Jr. was still a free agent. Like I said, I'm all about moves that take us out of a desperation state. I want them to just pick the best player that falls, whoever, because of the quarterbacks that got picked too high. I want the best football player there is. It's looking more and more. You've been kind of saying this each week. I know you like the kid from Illinois. There's a lot of corners that people really aren't talking about that look like are going to be quality NFL players. that are going to fall. I think Gonzalez, what's it? Gonzalez, what Vaughn,
Christian Gonzalez, Devin Witherspoon,
and Joey Porter Jr.
Joey Porter Jr.
One of them's going to fall out of the top 15, and I don't think they'll deserve to. So I think we keep our eyes on that. Maybe trade back up and get one of those guys. Same with one of the tackles.
If it's going to be one of the three, I think it's going to be Porter Jr. out of Penn State, which might not be bad because he has connections with Jaquan Brisker.
Yeah, I like him. He's kind of like Brisker, where he's real instinctual. He makes a lot of plays, like
he's a very solid tackler for a corner.
Yes, he blitzes well. He shuts out screens well. Like
that's why I talked about Ringo out of Georgia as well, because he or is it Georgia? I think it's Georgia. I think Ringo played for Georgia.
Yeah, I think so.
He's another solid. You can't put him on your number one because he'll get burned. He doesn't have that top end speed for a corner, but he does have a good base. He's got good hips, so he reads the he reads the routes well, and he's a very solid tackler for a corner as well. He's physical, and that's why I like Devin Witherspoon as well. Devin Witherspoon is probably the most physical corner in this draft, and Illinois bias picking up a little bit, but watching him play. That kid was a beast. Like he may not.
Yeah, he was very good.
He doesn't have the straight line speed, but he plays quicker than his 40-yard dash indicates. If that makes any sense.
No, I mean, yeah, plenty of people like that.
Yeah,
Jerry Rice ran like a 4.8 or some shit, right? 4.7 or something like.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't
highlights upon highlights of him like torture people.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very strong possibility for the Bears. Even if they go early second round or early third round, there's going to be guys there.
Yeah,
that somebody's going to fall. It happens every year. There's like 2 or 3 guys that fall that don't deserve to fall, like you said. And we have the draft capital now, especially because I don't think he's done. I don't think they pick at 9. They're going to fall back. They're going to pick up a couple of extra mid-round picks. He's going to give us the ammunition to move into that chunk of talent that's there in the early second, to early third round, to where if we want to move up, if we want to move up a couple of times, he's given us the opportunity to do that, and I think that's going to continue.
Yeah, this is going to be fun, like I said earlier, and I'm going to keep saying it's refreshing to have a real GM. We've never been manipulating the offseason like this, and the most exciting thing we've ever done is like send 2 or 3 first-round picks for a quality player who was kind of aging out.
My biggest concern with this whole thing, with the new analytics and Ryan Poles and everything else like that, is I don't want him to necessarily overthink. And they always say don't try to be the smartest guy in the room. I don't want Ryan Poles to think that he's the smartest guy in the room. Be confident, sure. Don't get too confident, too cocky or arrogant, and don't think that you're trying to outsmart everybody. Just kind of stick to your plan, do your thing, but also be humble. And I'm hoping that he stays humble in this process. It seems like he will, but you just never know. Some GMs, we don't know how he is on draft day with this kind of ammunition. Some of them get triggered. So we'll see. I'm hoping he stays the par, he stays the course. You got anything else? I got some factor cap ready.
All right, we give it the factor cap, close it out.
So the Bears currently hold the number 9 overall pick in the draft. The needs they have are pretty deep this year in this draft class. So I asked factor cap, and we kind of just talked about this. Ryan Poles should trade back from the number 9 spot.
I would say fact if Tyree Smith or Will Anderson isn't there. I don't expect either will be there. But I think if they are, even if Jalen Carter's there, I think we trade back. And if somebody wants to trade up for him, let him have him. And if not, then he's sliding and we might be able to get him wherever we fall back to. But yes, I think we should trade back again, maybe get some more ammo next draft. At 9, there's going to be nothing really there that we really, really, really need at that value. And it'd be nice to add a little more pieces next year. So like you've been talking all year, that we can trade back up and get in a position to draft Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, I'd agree. I just think that's the smart play right now because as you were talking about value-wise, I think those top-tier defensive talented players are going to be off the board. So if Wilson was there, I would definitely take him a 9. But I just don't see value at the 9 position with some of the players that are going to be there. So
Yeah,
trading back, I think getting, maybe another mid-round pick, second or third round pick this year, depending on who comes up, and then a second or third round pick next year, I think will add to that as well. That's going to be for me, that's going to be the best value for the Bears to do is trade back.
yeah,
We kind of talked about this one a little bit too. So Deontay Foreman had 12 total carries through week 6 this past season, week 7 through 18. He went on a complete tear, finishing for over 940 yards. He was actually more productive than David Montgomery was the whole year. So I asked Factor Cap, Deontay Foreman should be running back 1 for the Bears next year.
um, I'll say fact. We've already seen him in the feature role. I think Herbert's better as like a secondary, like lightning to the thunder or whatever, vice versa. And I just prefer a bigger back. I think that'll help Justin Fields as well, and just him too. Like if the one of the DNs has got to account for Justin Fields, that's one less big motherfucker who's trying to grab Foreman and drag him to the ground, which helps all parties involved. I envision he'll probably be a better blocker than Herbert. He's a veteran who's bounced around a lot, so he's probably had to make that a point to be good at that, or he's not going to get on a team or on the field. So and for that part, I would say, yeah, let's put Foreman out there 1. He was the most effective runner or something per 100. I don't know. There's a lot of effective or advanced analytics, and he was like the number 1 of most effective running back of, you know what I mean, in a hailstorm. But yeah, I'd like to see him get a shot. Herbert, I think, is fine. I think he'll get a similar amount of touches, but I think Foreman should be getting the boatload.
Yeah, I think they'll be close to 60-40 in terms of carries, with Deontay Foreman getting a bulk of the carries. I just think with this offensive line, the way they did run blocking last year, I think it's a little bit of a better fit. Like you were talking about Khalil Herbert being the lightning to Deontay Foreman's thunder, especially goal line situations. I think he'll be a lot better. I expect a lot of production out of him for the contract that we got, which I think is absolutely another steal, considering what David Montgomery signed for in Detroit and Miles Sanders signed for in Carolina. Getting this guy in a 1-year, $3.5 million deal was, I don't know how he pulled that out of his ass. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely say fact. I think let him start. Let's see what happens. They are gonna battle it out in training camp and in the preseason. We'll see who comes up on top.
Yeah.
More draft content here. The Bears do have a ton of holes on the roster, and the defense has improved, but their biggest need through free agency is the defensive line, edge rusher in particular. It was not addressed through free agency so far. So I asked Factor Cap, if the Bears do not trade back and stand pat at 9, they have to take the best D lineman on their board to address their issue, and maybe not the best player available on their board.
If it stays how it is, I'll say fact. I do still think we trade back, but if we don't do anything else, we have to take D lineman who's got some skill. If it's Breeze, if it's Carter who falls, if it's Chauncey from
Pitt.
we just have none right now. Like we got DeMarcus Lawrence and we just have nobody. So if we don't end up getting Ed Oliver for a 3rd round pick, yeah, I think we're gonna have to pick it. Unless his plan is to go back to back in the 2nd round and pick 2 guys who falls, hope that the kid from Northwestern falls and go back to back. But either way, in the 1st round, and if we don't sign somebody in free agency, I think with 2 of those 3 first picks we have, I think they got to go D lineman, and then offensive lineman. Most likely, if everything stays where it's at right now, I think that's probably where you go. As much as I like them to take JSN, I don't think they will.
Yeah, I mean, 9 might be a little too high for Kalijah Cansey.
Yeah. Well, I meant fall back and get him at, I don't know, 19 or 18.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm talking about if they stood pat.
If they stood pat, no. Yeah. No, I don't think they should reach. Maybe Breeze is probably the only person they could reach on.
What about Miles Murphy?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I would take him at 9. I would reach for Breeze. I think Breeze has got a very his ceiling might not be really high, but I think he's going to have like a quality 10-year career where it'd be a very good defensive lineman, and
He's
you
gonna
won't
get
regret. Yeah, you won't regret drafting. I don't think you'll regret drafting him.
All right. Last one. We were talking about Ed Oliver a little bit. So Ed Oliver posted on his Instagram page that we talked about pictures of him sacking all the quarterbacks in the NFC North with the exception of Justin Fields. So I asked Factor Cap, Ed Oliver knows something we don't, or he did that just because he wants to be in Chicago.
I'm going to say he knows something we don't. Maybe the tires are being kicked on a deal because maybe I would just want to be in Chicago. Like, is he from here? I don't know. I don't know that. Like,
I don't know either.
Yeah, so like, I mean, is he really that like sitting around like a couple fans like, oh, what team's got the cap room? It's building for the future, and like, so I think maybe his agent might have told him something like, hey, I got some. You get agents because they got spies. Like, and he's like, hey, somebody told me that the Bears made a couple calls to the Bills about you. You know what I mean? And him,
Yeah,
like,
because that's what I don't understand is that he kind of tried to cover his own tracks by posting the
later,
thing
yeah,
about Justin Fields like an hour and a half later after it completely blew up. So there's got to be something there, right? Like
yes,
people aren't just crazy. There's got to be something there. So yeah, I mean, like you said, maybe his agent was like, "Hey, somebody built
yeah,
off it,
he was
told
probably
me,
high or drunk or something.
the Bears are making some calls, blah 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 blah."
Yeah,
But
somebody from the Bears reached out to me. You know what I mean? Are you guys available? Can you ask for I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe his agent told him, hey, post some controversial shit. Maybe you can still, I don't know. Like, but like you said earlier, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I don't think it was just like it's too specific to him. Like, oh, I accidentally posted 3 NFC North quarterbacks. It's like, what would be the point of posting all 4? Like that, like
a specific division.
to randomly
Not
post
even in
all
the same conference.
Yeah, so that part's like don't even make any sense. We're like, oh, eventually it's like, what the hell are you like? How drunk are you? Where you're posting like, oh, I sacked everybody in this division randomly on a Tuesday in the middle of free agency.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's something there. I do think there's something there. I haven't heard anything. I know the Bills probably aren't going to want to pay him. We still got Justin Fields on a low contract, so we could take a swing on somebody, and I would be fine. I think Ed Oliver, like I was saying earlier, he's already proved that he's a quality NFL player. He hasn't lived up to his top 10 draft pick. Was he top 5? No. He has not lived up to that, but he's a NFL starter. He puts up decent numbers, and I would be fine with getting him if it was for like a third, and we paid him $18 million a year or whatever. I'll deal with it.
Yeah, definitely. So last thing, we are, as you mentioned earlier, we are going to ESPN 1000's 25th anniversary party. So we are hoping for you guys that we have a little bit of better content coming your way, maybe some sound bites, a little bit of video clips. If there's anybody in particular, you guys won't be able to see this, until we post our stuff next week. But if we drop this video on Saturday and we get a whole bunch of clips and stuff together on Friday, let us know in the comments who you might want to see if we can get to them. I know there's a couple of people that are, going to be there, like Jay Cutler and Robbie Gold and stuff like that. So, let us know in the comments. Do you want to see somebody specific? Do you want us to ask specific questions? Because we'll ask a whole bunch of questions and we'll post whatever you guys want. So, but that was it. That's all I had. I just wanted to bring that up.
All right. All right. Like I said, we'll check in with everybody next week, see what the Bears do. Hopefully they make 1 or 2 more moves before the draft. Maybe even make a trade or 2 just so we get a little more clear view of what's going to happen. But thanks for tuning in. Like, follow, subscribe, please, everybody. Thank you again. And I will see you on Friday, buddy.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.